Unfolding on the streets of Germany is a moment that many would have never expected to witness in modern Europe. After years of rising tensions and growing unrest, German police are finally taking a firm stance. In a move that signals a shift in public tolerance and political will, law enforcement has begun arresting Islamic protesters involved in social unrest and disorder across German cities. Have a watch. This is remarkable. That's a minute. It marks a decisive step in reclaiming public spaces. But it also raises deeper questions that have been simmering for years. Questions about migration, integration, and national identity. Make your opinion count by liking this video and promoting it for more awareness. Also, share and subscribe to our channel for upcoming updates. Let's challenge the narrative together. What we're seeing now is not just a crackdown. It's the result of years of frustration boiling over. German citizens, especially women, have been crying out for help. They've been voicing their fears, their loss of freedom, and their growing anxiety about walking the streets day or night. Like a woman found with a good husband. You walk on the street. You seek our generation. Can you leave that? Yes, I can talk. I feel speech out of house. I talk in the name of God. Yes. Yes. I'm sure I know more. I love the name of God. Unsure. In many parts of Germany, particularly in urban areas with large migrant populations, women say they no longer feel safe. This isn't paranoia. This is based on experience. Attacks, harassment, and stabbings have become tragically common in certain districts. Areas that were once quiet, family-friendly places are now synonymous with danger. The complaints are growing louder, and they're coming from people across all backgrounds. Ordinary Germans who simply want to live in peace, raise their families, and walk through their neighborhoods without fear. What started as isolated incidents has turned into a pattern. And that pattern has now become impossible to ignore. One name has come up repeatedly in recent days. Mohammed from Gaza, and arrested more than 10 times for public order offenses in Berlin alone. And yet he is still walking the streets of Europe, still here, still contributing to the very chaos that many Germans say is tearing the social fabric apart. This is not an isolated case. It is symbolic of a system that many say is broken. One that prioritizes political correctness over public safety. People are asking the obvious question: why is he still here? Why hasn't he been deported? How many chances does one person get before the system says enough is enough? This is the question echoing across Germany. From Berlin to Munich, from Hamburg to Cologne, the sentiment is changing. The patience who once defined German hospitality are running dry. And it's not because the people are heartless. It's because they feel betrayed. They opened their doors in good faith. They offered help, safety, and opportunity to those escaping war and poverty. But what they got in return, in too many cases, was contempt for their laws, their values, and their hospitality. Now, many are calling for mass deportations, not out of hatred but out of necessity. They say Germany needs to send a clear message to those who come with disruptive intentions, those who reject integration, and those who act with hostility towards the very country that took them in. The logic is simple. If you come to Germany, you must respect its laws. You must uphold its values. You must contribute to its society, not tear it down. It's a message that German patriots have been shouting for years, often dismissed as fringe or far-right. But now in 2024, their warnings are starting to sound less extreme and more like common sense because the reality on the ground can no longer be denied. One of the most disturbing developments in recent months has been the growing demand for Sharia law to be established in Germany. Yes, you heard that right. Protesters and radical groups openly calling for an Islamic state within one of Europe's most liberal democracies. This isn't just a cultural clash. It's a direct challenge to the German constitution and the principles of secular governance. The idea that people can arrive in a country, benefit from its freedoms, and then turn around and demand a completely different legal system, one that contradicts the very freedoms they rely on, is beyond comprehension for many Germans. And yet, it's happening. It's no longer just whispers in the background. It's out in the open. This demand for a parallel society has sparked outrage among native Germans. They're asking, if these people don't want to live by German laws, why are they here? Why not return to the countries where Sharia law is already in place? Why come to Germany only to try and change it into something it's not? The truth is, integration has failed in many cases. And it's not because Germans didn't try. They did. Programs were created. Support was offered. Resources were poured into education, language classes, and cultural initiatives. But you cannot integrate those who refuse to be integrated. You cannot build bridges with people who are determined to tear them down. The social contract has been broken. And now the consequences are playing out in real time. Germany, like much of Europe, is at a crossroads. The choices made now will determine the future of the country for generations. Will Germany continue to be a land of law, order, and shared values? Or will it become a fragmented society where the loudest and most aggressive voices reshape the nation to suit their ideologies? This is not about religion. It's about respect. It's about preserving the identity, safety, and cohesion of a nation that has already given so much. And let's be honest, this isn't just a German issue. It's happening across Europe. France, Sweden, Belgium, the Netherlands, the UK, all facing the same questions, the same challenges, the same unrest. And yet, for years, the political elite refused to listen. They branded anyone who spoke out as xenophobic or intolerant. But now, the silence is no longer an option. The people are speaking, and they are demanding action. The arrests in Germany may signal the beginning of a new phase. A phase where law enforcement is finally empowered to do its job. A phase where the government takes real steps to protect its citizens rather than appease those who break its laws. A phase where Europe begins to wake up and realize that its survival depends on its willingness to defend itself. The time for half measures is over. The time for apologies is over. Enough is enough. Let this warn those who come to Europe not to contribute but to dominate. The hospitality of the West is not infinite. The patience of its people is not endless. And the consequences of pushing too far are now beginning to show. The German people are rising. And they are rising not out of hate, but out of love for their country,